Hi, I'm Alabama Arise Policy Analyst Dev Wakeley. Thanks for tuning in for this week's Arise Legislative Update. Well, welcome to special session number 1 this year. This one will focus on prison financing and unfortunately not very much else, and not very much substantive reform in the governor's call. So the primary call for this special session was to deal with basically $1.3 billion in financing for the state's atrocious prison system. And the governor's call for the special session has basically divided that money up into 3 pools. 59% of it will come through a bond issue. 12% will come possibly through a general fund appropriation. And about 30% will come through federal ARPA funds that are being redirected to pay for prisons instead of to provide substantive benefits for the people of Alabama, unfortunately. The governor did include 2 reform bills in her call for a special session. These are bills that came through the governor's study group on criminal justice reform a couple of years ago and nearly passed the legislature in the last regular session. One is for retroactive sentencing under current sentencing guidelines for convictions that were previously covered via the state's broken, overly punitive Habitual Felony Offender Act. And the other bill that Governor Ivey mentioned in her call was for mandatory supervision of inmates upon release to make sure that people don't EOS or end of sentence in prison, providing a period of supervision, releasing them a little earlier and letting them get on their feet out of prison is associated with significantly reduced recidivism rates. So those are both good bills, and they nearly passed in the last regular session, but they're not enough, and they're not even close to enough. And for that matter, several bills that passed that came recommended by the governor's study group weren't included in the call either. Those include a bill to allow judges to resplit sentences in case of somebody being revoked on probation or parole, and a bill to implement community corrections programs in every circuit, and a bill to provide a sentence reduction for completion of certain training or education programs. Those bills were also left out. One of the unfortunate problems with leaving these bills out of the call of the special session is that now those bills are going to require a 2/3 majority to pass if they're introduced. So they really raise the procedural hurdle that's going to get in the way of substantial reform. And the governor's call is really, frankly, far too narrow for what the state needs. We were hoping to see significant reforms, including potentially repeal of the HFOA entirely, and major attempts to ensure that certain folks who have demonstrated ability to reenter society are allowed out on medical or age-related parole, and an increased attempt to expand diversion programs and alternative courts. None of those made it into the call, which means that the federal government is going to be looking much more harshly, I think, at the state's reluctance to engage in significant sentencing reforms under the current lawsuit by the Department of Justice. So we will lead into next week and hopefully make some progress on these few reforms that the governor specifically called for, and hopefully some major reforms will make it into the fray as well. Please follow us on social media, where we will give you great updates throughout the special session on how things are developing. That's Alabama Arise on Twitter or on Facebook. Thanks. Bye.